Missouri. Um, and they still celebrate it to this day. But anyway, um, every year they have a celebration called Toon Fest, which is basically celebrating Walt's love of cartoons and animation. And every year they invite artists of all walks of life, whether they be animators, children's book authors, historians, television animation, what have you. And I went in 2002, and they have a inside of the Marceline Walt Disney office, which is kind of like a museum.
Mm-hmm.
I was able to sign the wall. I was like a guest, and I was able to sign the wall. And the people that were on the wall were, Disney legends, people like, Imagineers, um, animators, historians, some caricature artists that I grew up with, uh, cartoonists. Um, so I think that was a pretty cool thing. I wasn't expecting that, but I was like, oh my god! So it was really cool to put my signature on that wall. I think that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think
That's the one thing that pops. I think that's the one thing that pops in my mind.
yeah, that's a fantastic story, and it can definitely fall along the lines of weird as in cool or unexpected. Yeah, it could definitely fall in those lines, and
Yeah,
I do think people tend to think that anything weird out of the ordinary is like an arm or a leg or or something like that, but it could be like
yeah. I was thinking that. I was like, I don't think so.
yeah,
Never
yeah.
signed an arm or a leg. I mean, I was thinking, did I sign somebody's boobs one time? I don't know. But no, no, I never did. I was thinking that. I was like, there's got to be one thing I really don't think I did. I mean, again, working at Disney, a lot of shirts, a couple of shirts, plushes. Um,
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, by seeing on Facebook that you just had some of your artwork collectively put on a shirt.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Um,
that's awesome.
so, so yeah, Disney, of course, has opened up many doors as far as getting my stuff out there, which is wonderful. Um, but I think that Marceline is probably the most interesting, probably the most honored thing that I've done. Um,
Yeah, I'm sure that was just a kind of a surreal, like a once in a lifetime experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say this. As far as having a piece of art and being with the merchandise team for 16 years now, it's like all of my artwork that I do at the parks and what have you. It's ended up everywhere. It's ended up on eBay. It's ended up here. It ended up there. And we have so many guests from around the world that some of the very first pieces I've done were actually bought by a couple in Japan. So every time I talk to a guest and where are you from, there's a part of me that says, wow, I'm going to have artwork in Australia. I'm going to have artwork here. I'm going to have artwork there. So that's pretty cool, being that we have such a global audience. Um, and I've just it's artwork that people have seen in like in stores in England and stuff like that. So
Yeah, so it's
that's
just
always a
yeah, so
neat
kind
thing.
of in a way you've
Yeah,
got your autograph all over the world.
yeah. But what I was getting to is because I was like, where am I? Oh, yeah. I was trying to remember the story. Um, so to make a long story short, going back to Marceline, Missouri, which is a very big pivotal part of Walt Disney's life, and it's in our company history and what have you. I was asked to do a piece of artwork for a visiting citizen of Marceline who actually still lives in Walt Disney's boyhood home, and it's still there today. It's a historic landmark, and the house was actually it was it was restored to its 1906 state, and it's still there. And when I was in Marceline, I did the piece about a year before I went to Marceline. When I went to Marceline, um, we were given a tour of the family home, the Walt Disney family home,
That's awesome.
and it turns out that the woman that I did the artwork for, because it was a portrait of Walt Disney, because it was just fitting, that she
Yeah,
was a
yeah,
visiting member
absolutely.
of Marceline, and she knew Walt Disney himself and met him when she was a little girl, and her family just was in contact with Walt for several years before he died. Um, Turns out when I went there a year later, and we were given a tour of the farmhouse, we walked into Walt and Roy's bedroom. They actually shared a bedroom together. The
Okay.
house is very small, and I realized that picture was actually put over Walt Disney's bed. Surprise.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
nice surprise.
Absolutely. And have you ever been denied an autograph that you can think of?
Have I ever did not? And it's funny, you actually sent me these questions a while ago, so I should have thought of this by now. Um,
No, it's completely fine.
have I ever been on an autograph? Actually, I was. Yes, I have.
All right.
And now Buzz Aldrin. I was denied an autograph by Buzz Aldrin, who
Really?
was the second man on the moon.
Absolutely.
Um, I was I was I used to volunteer at a place called Give Kids the World, which is a it's kids that are they have life-threatening diseases and so on and so forth, and it's a big place here in Orlando. It's kind of like Make a Wish Foundation,
I gotcha. Yeah,
they
absolutely.
yeah, they give the kids and their families like the kids want to come to Disney or they want to do this, they want to do that, and they set them up. It's a huge community. They have houses there. They have as they basically create the vacation for the kid. And it's a whole kid world. I mean, there's ice cream parlors, there's amusement rides. It's just insane. And years ago, I actually volunteered there for a while, and I just drew pictures for the kids. It was a lot of fun, and uh, I got a call from the person that ran the program at the time, and she calls. She says, "Hey, would you like to come to? We're going to have an event this weekend. Would you like to come?" It wasn't an everyday thing. It was
Right.
like once a week, and this
Right.
happened to fall on a weekend. And she says, "Would you like to come to the village this weekend? We're going to have a big event. We're going to have some really interesting people there. We're going to have a couple of astronauts." And she said astronauts. And I said, wow, because I'm kind of a NASA head.
Yeah.
I love. I said, what astronauts are you going to have there? And I mean, I was thinking she was going to say a couple of names I didn't know because I didn't know every astronaut in the shuttle program. One or two maybe, but she said we're going to have Jim Lovell and Buzz Aldrin, and I'm like, oh my god,
Buzz
Jim
Aldrin.
Lovell, Buzz Aldrin and Jim Lovell. Jim Lovell, of course, from Apollo 13, and Buzz Aldrin, and I'm like, I'm there, and so I went there, and turns out that they were, they donated a lot of money to Give Kids the World and all that, and we were just in a room and like a cocktail hour kind of a thing, and their families were there and the kids were there. It was great. And I walked up to Jim Lovell and I said Captain Lovell because he is a captain. I said, Captain Lovell, it's a pleasure to meet you. And he was very nice and shook my hand. And and I actually had a piece of paper in my hand. I said, because I was drawing for the kids.
Absolutely.
And I said, Captain Lovell, would you mind if I got an autograph from you? Now, the autograph wasn't from me. It was actually from my friend Kurt. Um, Kurt is a huge NASA. I mean, this guy is like knows every name of every mission of every. I mean, the guy's nuts. He knows everything, every rivet, every knob on the ship. He's insane. He's a teacher, but he's the biggest NASA freak He's seen every shuttle launch.
Wow, that's super
And
impressive.
yeah, he's got models. He's insane. But he knows so much material. Anytime I have a question about NASA, I call Kurt. I was like, hey Kurt, I just saw this documentary. Is it? And he goes, oh yeah, let me tell you what happened. Um, so I was getting the autograph for Kurt. Um, so I got Jim Lovell, and he wrote James Lovell, Apollo 13. I was like, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It was very nice of you. This is actually for my friend Kurt. And he's like, oh, whatever. And and over at the next table was Buzz Aldrin. And I walked up and I said, Commander Aldrin, how are you, sir? And he's like, fine. How are you? And would you mind if I got your autograph? It's for a friend of mine. And he actually said, no, not at this time, but I appreciate you asking. And that was it. And I said, okay, thank you. And I walked away. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, just
How long does it take to write Buzz Aldrin?
yeah, he's probably done it a million times anyway.
Yeah, but you know what? He wasn't. He kind of brushed it off like, get away from me, kid, kind of a thing. And I was really surprised. I was like, because Jim Lovell was just like, oh, sure, you have a pen, whatever. And but no, he was just like, not at this time. I'm sorry, but thanks for asking. And I'm like, all right, well, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Have a great time, Bob. And I called Kurt um, because I told him, I said, look, I got you Jim Lovell's autograph. And he's like, oh my God, did you really? I said, and I said, I tried to get Buzz Aldrin, but he denied me the autograph. And Kurt immediately said, oh, I expect that. He's an asshole.
Oh, nice.
No, seriously. And I said, really? He goes, oh yeah, he is known for doing that. So
Wow.
he's known for he's not going to give you his autograph if he's not getting paid for it. I said, are you serious? He goes, oh yeah, I know that. Everybody knows that. And I'm like, holy shit. And then when I did a little research, and come to find out, it's actually very true. When he does events, anything where he's signing stuff, he wants a certain amount of money. He's just not a nice person.
I understand.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that completely.
he's made some incredible accomplishments in the space program. He is the second man on the moon, but people will tell you that he's not the nicest person. And I've seen interviews with him where he's just not. He just doesn't get along with a lot of people. I don't know. He did spend years as an alcoholic and all. I don't know. I'm not
The
saying that.
the final question is, if you could have any person's autograph, whose would it be?
I'm not gonna have anybody's autograph. Well, it sounds like a really simple answer, but uh, honestly, I would love to have Walt Disney's signature for
Yeah.
every reason that I told you.
Yeah.
Because because of the history, you know, that's the hand that basically created, um, a company that's almost 100 years old. It's um, and
Yeah,
honestly, I can't think of anybody. I mean, yeah, I would have to say Walt Disney. You know,
oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That would probably be mine as well, just cuz he
I
did.
will.
I mean, he did a lot more than, create a cartoon here and there. I mean, it's just, I mean, there's no
Right,
way
because
to.
I think any artist that grew up in the 20th century doesn't know that name and has not had something of an influence from this man. Um, even though he did even though a lot of the artwork was not done by him, um, a name like that to have it done by the hand that did have something to do artistically with the films and all that. that to me would be amazing.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I can agree
but
with that.
on a personal level, um, I wish, and thinking back, it's like I would love to have got. Still there?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, okay, my phone fell down. Um, Looking back, it's like I would have loved to have gotten, and I'm sure I can find, maybe if I looked carefully in a lot of the junk that my mother or maybe some of my family members have, but I would love to have signatures of family members that I knew growing up, but haven't been around for a long time. Um, like my grandfather on my mother's side. It's like, or even my father's side. It's just like I can't remember what their signature looked like, or if I ever saw their signature. You know, I think that would be a nice thing to have as well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I remember my father's signature. I'm sure I have it somewhere. Um, but because I used to copy it all the time.
Yeah.
Um, but like my mother has a very beautiful signature. My father had a doctor's signature. I don't know what my grandfather's signature would have looked like, and I'm sure he signed a lot because he was a dentist. And
Yeah.
my other
Yep.
grandfather, I don't I have no idea what his signature looked like. Um, I'm sure it was nice, whatever. But uh, on a famous celebrity note, I think some of my family members, I would love to have seen what their signatures looked like. But
Yeah, that's
other than
awesome.
that,
That's
other than
awesome.
that, definitely Walt Disney.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Definitely
That's
Walt Disney.
another one of those perspective things that I hadn't quite, thought about, and just put it in perspective like that, just because you would like to have somebody's autograph doesn't mean, that they're famous or that they won the Daytona 500 or they won a Super Bowl. That, yeah,
Yeah,
I think that puts it in perspective. For me, it does definitely, and kind of along those lines. But I have something
okay.
in my hand here, and it's a pin from Disney World, and it's Mickey Mouse and Hollywood Studios, and if I'm not mistaken, that is one that you drew for Disney.
What is it?
It's a pin, and it's Mickey Mouse, and it's Hollywood Studios, and it's got.
Is it the clapboard?
Yep,
Yes.
yep. I have it in my hand right
Hmm.
here, and I'm holding it up to
Okay.
the camera, so when I get it up, everybody else will be able to see it as well. That this is yours, and you created it.
Did I sign it?
No, I tried to work it out when we were there back in September, but I think we left on a Saturday, and I believe that you had I think you were only working Sunday and Mondays, if I remember correctly. I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and we left on a Saturday, so it didn't quite work out.
That's okay.
but yeah, I thought.
If you do you want to if you text me your address, I'll send you um I'll send you one. They actually still sell that pin. That's one of the very few pins that I did that they still sell in the shops.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic because I'd seen you post it, or maybe somebody else had posted it on your Facebook a long time ago, and I seen it. And when we went to Disney this past September for our 5-year wedding anniversary, it was like we went to Hollywood Studios the very first morning we were there, and I picked it up like like within the first like 15 minutes we were in the park.
Sure. Yes, text me your address, and in fact, I'm going to be in the parks tomorrow, so I'll pick one up.
Yeah, that would be fantastic, and that would be awesome. It really would.
My pleasure.
All right, Jason. Well, I really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you speaking with me.